Welcome back to the Guilty Pleasures Cinema. I am the indicator. I am the one that patrols the titles, the alternates, the inconsistencies, and they must be destroyed. I've mentioned briefly with Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, how one version of the title has ... at the end, but another does not. It omits it. Well, which is it? That is the key. That is the terror. That is the inconsistency of doom. Rambo. This is the Rambo trilogy, slightly released before the fourth film. Well, released for the fourth film. The typical tie-in. You've seen it with the Resident Evil trilogy, then quadrilogy, and then whatever they'll call the fifth G when the sixth one is released. It's part of the problem, part of the pain. The problem with this is its title. The Rambo trilogy is actually the First Blood trilogy. Now, the numbering actually holds true. This has First Blood. First Blood is the first Rambo movie. It doesn't even say Rambo on it. It's simply First Blood. And as you can see, being Canadian, it has a French title as well. Le Devastateur. The Devastator. Fair enough. It is what it is. It is the first Rambo movie. Then the sequel. Rambo. First Blood Part 2. Now this is akin to taking the Nightmare on Elm Street series and starting to call them Freddy movies. Or the Child's Play movies and calling them Chucky movies. Which they did. This takes the First Blood series, even though it's only Part 2, and calls it Rambo. First Blood Part 2. So, it is the second First Blood movie. Is it the first Rambo movie? On a technicality, yes, because it's the first with the title. And the French version? La Mission. The Mission. Makes sense considering the style and the title and everything. It's not a translation of what First Blood would be. It's not Le Devastateur 2. It's not whatever First Blood Part 2 would be. Le Premier Sang. Dieu. It isn't. It's the mission. Fair enough. Rambo 3. What's it in French? Rambo 3. Rambo 3. It's the third film in the series. It gets 3. What happened to First Blood? Why isn't it Rambo First Blood Part 3? Even the back says the explosive third blast in the action-packed series. It's the third First Blood movie. But it's Rambo 3. Rambo took over the title series. Now, it is a Rambo franchise. For the longest time, that's how it stayed. It was simply the Rambo series. Rambo superseded First Blood. And arguably so, considering the popularity of the name, the popularity of the character. There's no harm in rechristening it that. Rambo. Now, the reason the titling wasn't much of a problem is because people always knew it as the Rambo movies. It wasn't generally known as the First Blood movies. It was the Rambo movies. People always thought of when you said, I'm going to watch Rambo, they'd say which one? 1, 2, or 3. They never really thought of First Blood as that title. But it is. This. This is Rambo. The first one is not Rambo. Never was. It stars Rambo. It's First Blood. The fourth movie dropped the numbers. Now, losing numbering is a whole nother story. The Die Hard movies did it in their original trilogy. The Indiana Jones movies never had them. The Star Trek movies dropped them after 6. The Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Halloweens, they all eventually lost their numbers. That's another problem. But at least they didn't go this basic with it. First Blood's up there with F. Then you have Rambo on its own. And then depending how technical you get with it, Rambo 3, because the space between the O and the Roman numeral 3, the I, would come before Rambo with a semicolon or a colon before the differentiation of First Blood Part 2. So why wasn't this Rambo 4? Especially now that we hear potential Rambo 5. It was going to be called John Rambo at one point even. Similar to Rocky Balboa with Stallone's other character. Thankfully it wasn't. So why is this even an issue? Why is this even a problem? Because it's against the norm. You look at most franchises and they stick with their numbering. Then they deviate. And they get onto my list. Rambo did it early. Rambo sacrificed the First Blood titling for its own thing. You get others like The Godfather Part 2, The Godfather Part 3. The Hangover franchise did the exact same thing. Logical. Makes sense. This is the biggest offender. This is the franchise that is defined by its character, which eventually took over as the title character, which eventually simply became the only title in it. That cannot continue. So that is the first of many indications while I am here. I'll relinquish this chair back for however long he can last. But for now, there will be more pain. I promise.